This guy single-handedly brought Bulgarian weightlifting back to life. After 2 decades of drought, what used to be the best weightlifting country in the world stormed back onto the scene through one kid, Karlos Nasar. Born in 2004, Carlos had never seen his country win a major title in his lifetime. And yet, just 2 decades before his birth, Bulgaria consistently beat the Soviet giants. It produced some of the greatest lifters in history, including Naim Süleymanoğlu, Bulgarian and Antonio Krasev. Stick around as we dive into the story of how one coach, 60 years ago, developed an innovative training system that led to the rise of the most talented lifter of the decade. The Bulgarian system was a brainchild of legendary coach Ivan Abadjiev. He was the very first world medalist of his country back in 1957. Overall, his athlete career will be quite modest. He will truly shine in another field of weightlifting, coaching. In 1968, he will take over the Bulgarian team as head coach, and bit by bit he will start to develop his own vision of athlete development for the sport of weightlifting. While the Soviet system had developed a method focused on movement and intensity variation, Abadjiev will focus on something different, sport specificity. Team Bulgaria became a system in which lifters lifted heavy, often on the snatch, the clean and jerk, and the front squat only. And it worked. It worked fast. Just 4 years after taking over, Abadjiev will send a full team to the Munich Olympics. And despite having never earned an Olympic weightlifting medal in its entire history, for coach Ivan's first, Bulgaria will beat the Soviet Union. For 16 years straight, the USSR had dominated the Olympic Games, just to be beaten by a country that had never even medaled at the Olympics. From nothing to 3 Olympic titles and 3 Olympic silver, all thanks to Abadjiev. While that wasn't absolute domination yet, Bulgaria will slowly crawl up the rankings and start producing some of the best lifters in the world on a consistent basis. The first real outlier of the team appeared in the mid-70s. Valentin Hristov was somewhat of a poster boy for 70s Bulgaria, for good and bad reasons. The good one was incredible. He was the greatest heavyweight lifter of his times, and almost managed to break the all-time clean and jerk world record held by the 50 kilos heavier Vasily Alexeyev. But in 1976, after winning the Olympics, something that never happened before will come up: a positive drug test. Hristov was the very first weightlifter to see his title taken away, and this will kickstart the infamous image of Bulgarian lifters being somewhat more likely to use PEDs than other countries. This didn't exactly stop the constant progress of Team Bulgaria though. In fact, it was just really getting started. And despite the 1980 Olympics taking place in the Soviet Union and the extreme investments made in the sport by the most powerful sporting nation of the time, Bulgaria managed to pull out a few medals. Kickstarting the 80s, the Abadjiev system was reaching an incredible peak. The rivalry with the Soviet system was about to give birth to the best lifters in the history of the sport of weightlifting. In 1983, Bulgarian will snatch 195.5 kilos at 90 kilos, the best snatch of all time. Better than our modern Lashata Hadze by bodyweight, at a time when the super heavyweight record was barely over 200 kilos. Just a few months later, a 16-year-old kid will also make his debut at the World Championships. It was not Carlos Nasar, but rather someone that will come to be known as the best weightlifter of all time, Naim Süleymanoğlu, or Abadjiev masterpiece. He was a perfect lifter, in a perfect system, at the perfect time. And from a very young age, Naim will be detected by the Bulgarian team, and he will get integrated into the robust system built for over 15 years. He will win junior worlds at 15 years old, and place second at the Senior World Championships just a year later, breaking his first world record in the same breath. Years will pass, and led by Naim, Bulgaria will finally take over the Soviet Union at the World Championships in 1985, 1986 and 1987. The stars were aligned for Bulgaria to absolutely crush the Soviets at the Seoul Olympics of 1988. Stefan Botev, the newest comer of the team, had just become the lightest and youngest man ever to clean and jerk 250 kilos. Antonio Krasev had become the all-time world record holder in the snatch, putting an end to the absolute supremacy of the Soviet Union over the king category of the sport. And while Naim Süleymanoğlu was now a Turkish lifter, the Bulgarians seemed to be ready for a historic gold sweep over every single category. But what should have been the peak of a well-oiled system built over a decade ended in absolute disaster. As the rumors go, with the Soviets well aware of their position of inferiority, an attempt was made to strike a deal. Half of the categories were to have a Soviet contender, the other half a Bulgarian. But Abadjiev refused, and in the first two weight classes, both won by Bulgarians, the ban hammer was struck again. The rest of the team will pull out, and what was to be the greatest Olympics of all time was robbed of its best lifters. And somehow, that was it for Bulgaria. The country, led by coach Ivan Abadjiev for 3 entire decades, will see its head coach leave the team. Bulgaria will not exactly disappear from the sport straight away. Over the late 80s and throughout the 90s, we'll still see Bulgarian lifters on international podiums. But let's call it what it truly was, a shadow of its former glory. In the early 2000s, the country will get struck with its final ban wave. Milan Dobrev will win the last Olympic title for Bulgaria in 2004, and then nothing. 3 decades of growth, a system built on pain, sweat, injuries, gone in a decade. All throughout the 2000s and the 2010s, Bulgaria was nothing but a memory. A tale of old, a tale of what used to be and of what wasn't anymore. No Olympic titles, no world titles, nothing. Until one fateful day in 2021, at the World Weightlifting Championships, a 17-year-old Bulgarian stepped on stage for his very first senior worlds, less than a year older than a certain Naim Süleymanoğlu 4 decades earlier. And against all odds, he will win. Carlos Nasar will become the 3rd youngest man to ever win the World Weightlifting Championships. And while at it, he will also take on his first senior world record, just like Naim. And just like that, the Bulgarian flame was revived. A spark only at first, with a youth prodigy only. But then, faster than you would expect, it was back. Bulgarians started to appear in every weight class and contend for international medals consistently. Carlos Nasar will move up from the 81 kg weight class to the 89 kg weight class after winning both Euros and the World. He'll break more world records, win more titles. And slowly, Olympic weightlifting became synonymous with Carlos Nasar. And for the first time in a long time, weightlifting also became synonymous with Bulgaria. Carlos have managed to do something that very few lifters have done in the past decade: make the sport truly exciting again. At only 21 years of age, he sits high in the all-time rankings of Bulgarian lifters. And while he's yet to achieve the status of some of the all-time Bulgarian greats, performances like the 2025 European Championships show us one thing: Carlos Nasar is not a fluke. He's the heir to a system set up some 60 years ago by a man with a dream, making Bulgaria the best weightlifting country in the world. Now, as you now know, Bulgaria has a rich history in the sport of weightlifting, and to commemorate it, we created these training pants, these Bulgarian training pants with reinforced material in the front to avoid breaking. They are only available for pre-order this weekend, so check out the link in bio, and thank you for watching this video.